Have you ever opened your fridge and felt safe, thinking everything inside was fresh, clean, and protected? We've all done it. The fridge feels like that one place in the house where nothing can go wrong. You place your vegetables, fruits, leftovers, and snacks inside, close the door, and trust that the cold air is keeping you healthy. But here's the shocking truth: not everything belongs in there. In fact, some of the most common foods you and I put in the fridge, foods we grew up believing were harmless, can actually turn into silent dangers. And for seniors, who already face weaker immune systems and slower recovery times, this can be especially risky. Imagine thinking you're doing the right thing for your health, but without even realizing it, you're increasing your chances of illness, and in some cases, even cancer. It sounds frightening, doesn't it? Because here's the thing: food is supposed to nourish you, protect you, and keep your body strong in your later years. But when stored the wrong way, that same food can lose its nutrients, build up harmful compounds, or even create toxins that slowly damage your health. And the scariest part? You might already have some of these foods sitting in your fridge right now, looking innocent, waiting for you to eat them. That's why this video is so important. By the time we're done here, you'll discover the 7 common foods you should never store in the fridge. Some of these will surprise you, some might even make you want to get up and check your fridge right away. But more importantly, you'll also learn the safer ways to keep these foods so they don't harm you or your loved ones. So here's what I want you to do: before we even dive into the list, scroll down and tell me in the comments, what's the one food you always keep in your fridge? Don't be shy, let's see how many of us have been making these same mistakes. And while you're at it, make sure to hit that subscribe button to join our Elderly Wisdom Tips family. This is the place where we share life-saving health advice designed for seniors, because the more you know, the longer and healthier you can live. Let's start with a food that almost everyone has in their kitchen: tomatoes. Think about the last time you reached into your fridge, pulled out a tomato, and noticed it looked different. Maybe the skin felt tough, maybe the inside was grainy, or maybe it had lost that sweet, rich flavor you were expecting. You probably thought, well, that's just how tomatoes are sometimes. But in reality, it's often the fridge that's to blame. Here's what really happens. When you put tomatoes in the refrigerator, the cold air doesn't just keep them firm, it actually damages them. The low temperature breaks down the delicate cell walls inside the tomato, and that's why they lose their taste and texture. But the real concern isn't just about flavor. Cold storage can reduce the very antioxidants that make tomatoes so powerful for your health, compounds like lycopene, which has been studied for its cancer-fighting properties. So instead of helping your body stay strong, that refrigerated tomato may be offering you far less protection than you think. And here's the misconception that trips up so many people: we believe the fridge is keeping tomatoes fresh, but in truth, it's speeding up their decline. The fruit becomes dull, loses its nutritional punch, and if left too long, it can spoil even faster. It's one of those little mistakes that seems harmless but adds up over time, especially for seniors who rely on nutrient-rich foods to support their immune systems. The good news? There's a simple fix. Tomatoes are best kept at room temperature, in a bowl on your counter, away from direct sunlight. This way, they hold on to their flavor, their texture, and most importantly, their health-boosting compounds. And if you've ever tasted a tomato ripen naturally on the counter, you'll know it's worth the change. But tomatoes aren't the only everyday food that turns dangerous in the fridge. Let's move on to another food that finds its way into almost every kitchen: potatoes. They're comforting, they're filling, and they show up in so many of our favorite meals. But here's the thing: how you store them can completely change whether they protect your health or slowly harm it. Picture this. You open your fridge, pull out a potato, and notice it has green spots on the skin. Most people shrug, grab a knife, slice off the green parts, and go ahead with their cooking. It feels harmless, right? But that green color isn't just a blemish. It's a warning sign. It means the potato has been under stress, and when that happens, dangerous compounds start forming inside. Here's what the cold really does. When you store potatoes in the fridge, the low temperature forces their natural starches to turn into sugars. Now, this might not sound like a big deal, but it sets off a dangerous chain reaction. When you later bake, fry, or roast that potato, those sugars combine with other compounds to form something called acrylamide. And acrylamide isn't just any chemical, it's a compound that scientists have linked to cancer risk. The same potato you thought was safe, filling, and even healthy could quietly be working against you. But here's where so many of us get it wrong. We think that putting potatoes in the fridge helps them last longer. We believe the cold keeps them fresh. The truth is, it does the opposite. It doesn't extend their life in a healthy way, it turns them into something harmful. The fridge doesn't protect the potato. It changes it. So what's the better way? Keep your potatoes in a cool, dark cupboard or pantry. A simple basket or a paper bag in a dry corner works perfectly. This keeps their starches intact, their texture smooth, and their flavor exactly as it should be. And most importantly, it prevents those harmful compounds from forming when you cook them. And speaking of starch, there's another food that can be just as tricky, especially when we think we're doing the safe thing by putting it in the fridge. Let's talk about rice, and the hidden danger it carries when it's stored the wrong way. For many of us, especially in larger families, cooking a big pot of rice feels practical. You eat some today, put the rest in the fridge, and think you've saved yourself time for tomorrow's meal. It seems harmless, doesn't it? But here's where the danger hides. The moment rice is cooked, it becomes a breeding ground for a certain type of bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Now, this bacteria isn't new, it's present in many foods in tiny amounts, but rice gives it the perfect environment to grow. And here's the scary part, once the bacteria has released its toxins, simply reheating the rice won't make it safe again. Those toxins can survive heat, and when they enter your body, they can trigger stomach pain, nausea, and long-term digestive stress. Some studies even link frequent exposure to these toxins with higher cancer risks over time. The common mistake most people make is believing that refrigeration automatically makes rice safer. We think, if it's cold, it must be fine. But with rice, it's not that simple. If it cools too slowly, or if it sits in the fridge for more than a day, those bacteria can multiply quietly. You may not see or smell anything unusual, but the danger is already there. So what should you do? If you must store rice, don't leave it sitting in a big pot. Spread it out in shallow containers so it cools quickly, then refrigerate right away. And here's the important part, eat it within 24 hours. No matter how good it looks or smells after that, it's simply not worth the risk. Rice is one of those foods that feels safe because we eat it so often, but when stored the wrong way, it becomes one of the most deceptive dangers in your fridge. But rice isn't the only silent risk. There's another kitchen staple that seems harmless, yet turns into a health hazard the moment it's stored cold. Let's talk about onions. Another food almost every kitchen relies on. Think about the last time you cut into an onion that had been sitting in your fridge. Did you notice it felt a little slimy, maybe even had spots of mold creeping across its surface? It's not just unpleasant, it's a sign that something unhealthy is happening. Here's why. Onions are sensitive to cold, and when you place them in the refrigerator, they absorb moisture from the air. That extra dampness creates the perfect breeding ground for mold and bacteria. And here's the dangerous part. Some of those bacteria can release toxins, the kind that slowly wear down your body's defenses. For seniors, whose immune systems aren't as strong as they once were, eating onions that have spoiled in the fridge can be especially harmful. Now, here's a common misconception that so many people have: putting onions in the fridge will stop them from sprouting. It seems logical, right? Cold slows things down. But with onions, the opposite happens. Instead of staying fresh, they begin to rot from the inside out much faster in the cold. By the time you notice the sliminess or the smell, the damage has already been done. So what's the right way? Onions do best in a dry, ventilated basket, somewhere cool but not cold, with enough air circulation to keep them crisp. And here's an important tip: keep them away from potatoes. When stored together, both onions and potatoes release gases that make each other spoil faster. A little distance between the two goes a long way in protecting your food and your health. Onions may seem small and simple, but when stored wrong, they can turn into a hidden danger that chips away at your health over time. Another surprising one is garlic. Yes, the very food we trust to fight illness and strengthen our bodies. Garlic, it's often called nature's antibiotic, and for good reason. For centuries, people have used garlic to fight infections, boost immunity, and even strengthen the heart. It's one of those rare foods that feels almost magical in how much it can do for the body. But here's the sad truth: when you store garlic in the fridge, it starts to lose the very power that makes it so healing. Think about it. You put a bulb of garlic in the refrigerator, and after a little while, you notice small green shoots poking out of the cloves. Or maybe you've seen the skin turn rubbery, and sometimes, if you wait too long, patches of mold begin to appear. That's not garlic at its best, it's garlic breaking down. And when that happens, its most valuable compound, allicin, which helps fight cancer and supports your immune system, is reduced. What's left behind is weaker, less effective, and in some cases, even unsafe to eat. Now here's where so many people go wrong. We assume that cold equals freshness. We believe the fridge keeps everything stronger for longer. But garlic doesn't thrive in the cold. Instead of preserving its natural strength, the fridge causes it to sprout, to mold, and to lose that medicinal punch that makes it so special. In other words, the very food you're counting on to protect you may be failing you simply because of where you stored it. So how should you treat garlic? The answer is simple: keep it in a breathable mesh bag, or even a paper bag, in a cool, dry spot in your kitchen. This way, it stays fresh, flavorful, and full of the compounds your body needs to fight disease and stay resilient with age. The difference is remarkable: you'll taste it, and your body will thank you for it. Garlic is a gift to your health, but only if you store it the right way. Let's talk about bread, the food that feels like it belongs in every kitchen, every day. It's simple, it's comforting, and for many of us, it's been a part of life since childhood. But here's the question: have you ever pulled a loaf of bread from the fridge and noticed it was dry, hard, or even spotted with mold? It can feel disappointing, but more than that, it's a clear sign that refrigeration is not a friend to your bread. Here's what actually happens. Bread is made of starch, and when you put it in the fridge, that starch begins to crystallize much faster. Instead of staying soft and fluffy, the bread goes stale. And while it may look fine for a little while, cold air creates the perfect environment for mold to grow quickly. What's even more concerning is that some of these molds don't just ruin the taste. They produce toxins, and certain strains are linked to cancer. That means every slice from a refrigerated loaf could be doing more harm than good. But here's the common misconception: many of us refrigerate bread to stop mold. We think the cold air keeps it fresher. The truth is the opposite: it speeds up spoilage. The fridge doesn't protect your bread, it robs it of its freshness and invites the very problem you were trying to avoid. So what's the better solution? Keep your bread at room temperature, in a bread box or a cloth bag that allows it to breathe. If you need to store it longer, freeze individual slices instead. That way, when you need them, you can just toast or warm them, and they'll be fresh again without the risks that come with refrigeration. Bread should nourish and comfort you, not put your health at risk. By making this one small change, you protect both the taste and the safety of what's on your table. And now, let's finish with a fruit that surprises almost everyone. Bananas. They're sweet, easy to eat, and packed with nutrients. But here's the mistake many of us make, especially seniors who want their bananas to last longer: we pop them straight into the fridge. On the surface, it seems like a smart idea. But have you ever noticed what happens? The skin turns black, the texture changes, and before you know it, that banana doesn't look so inviting anymore. Here's why. Bananas are tropical fruits, and they're simply not built for cold storage. When you put them in the fridge, the cold air damages the natural enzymes that help them ripen properly. Instead of staying fresh, they begin to break down from the inside. And when that happens, something else is lost too, the very antioxidants that make bananas so beneficial. Compounds like dopamine and vitamin C, which help fight free radicals and lower cancer risks, start to disappear. The banana might still be edible, but it's no longer the same powerhouse of protection it was meant to be. The misconception is clear. We think cold keeps bananas lasting longer. But in reality, it doesn't extend their life in a healthy way, it strips them of nutrients and changes their natural balance. What looks like a simple act of preservation is really quiet destruction. So what's the best way? Keep bananas at room temperature, on the counter, just as they were meant to be. If they ripen too quickly for you, don't panic. Peel them, place them in a bag, and freeze them. They make perfect additions to smoothies, desserts, or even healthy snacks later on. That way, you preserve their sweetness and their goodness without losing what makes them valuable in the first place. So those are the 7 foods. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on why this matters so much, especially for seniors. For many seniors, the fridge has always felt like a safe place. A place where food is kept fresh, protected, and ready for whenever you need it. But as we've just uncovered together, that same fridge can sometimes take foods that are meant to heal your body and quietly turn them into risks. Not obvious risks that you see right away, but slow, silent ones that could affect your health over time. And that realization can feel a little unsettling. But let me pause here and remind you, this is not about fear. It's about knowledge. It's about awareness. It's about equipping yourself with simple truths that can make all the difference in how you live. By learning these food storage secrets, you are doing something powerful. You're not only protecting your body, you're protecting your peace of mind, your independence, and your future. Think about it, so much of healthy living doesn't come from drastic diets or expensive treatments. Sometimes, it's the small, quiet choices we make every day, like where we place our tomatoes, how we handle rice, or whether garlic stays strong or weak. Those little decisions, when added up, can shape the way your body fights disease, manages energy, and recovers from illness. So here's my encouragement for you tonight. Take just 5 minutes, yes, only 5 minutes, to open your fridge and look inside with new eyes. Do you see tomatoes, potatoes, or onions sitting in there? Is your bread stacked on a shelf, your bananas chilling in the cold, or your garlic tucked into a corner? If so, it's okay. Now you know better. All it takes is moving them to the right place, making a small adjustment, and giving yourself the gift of safer, healthier food. And remember, healthy living doesn't mean giving up the foods you love. Not at all. It simply means handling them with wisdom. It means protecting their natural nutrients, so when you sit down to eat, you're not just filling your stomach, you're nourishing your body. You're feeding your strength, your heart, and your future. That's the beauty of knowledge, it doesn't take anything away from you. Instead, it gives you control, reassurance, and hope. You now hold a little key that can open the door to better health, not just for you, but for anyone you care for, anyone who shares meals with you, and anyone who looks up to you as an example of wisdom and strength. To quickly recap, we've uncovered 7 everyday foods that may seem harmless in the fridge but actually lose their healing power, or worse, become risky to your health when stored there. Tomatoes, potatoes, cooked rice, onions, garlic, bread, and bananas. All of these are best kept out of the refrigerator if you want to preserve their nutrients, avoid hidden toxins, and protect your body from unnecessary risks. Simple storage choices really can make the difference between food that strengthens you and food that slowly undermines your well-being. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 foods surprised you the most? Maybe you've been refrigerating bananas without realizing they lose their antioxidants, or perhaps you thought potatoes were safer in the cold, not knowing it could trigger harmful compounds. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to know which foods you'll be moving out of your fridge today. Remember, your experiences may help another senior or caregiver who reads your comment. And if this video opened your eyes, even in a small way, I invite you to give it a like. It helps spread this knowledge to others who need it. And don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Tips. Here we share practical, science-backed advice designed to keep seniors and caregivers informed, empowered, and healthier each day. Together, we're building a community of wisdom where age is not a barrier but a source of strength. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Remember this, small daily choices lead to big health results. You don't need to change your whole lifestyle overnight, just take one step at a time. Adjust where you keep your food, protect the nutrients your body depends on, and keep fueling yourself with the knowledge that you are in control of your health. Stay wise, stay healthy, and know that every small choice is an investment in a longer, stronger, and more vibrant life. I'll see you in the next video.